Njideka went to her husband's home, as soon as she stepped into her husband's compound, she went mad, and everyone was confused and wondered what must have caused this. Njoku and the elders decided to rush Njideka to the deity, and when she was presented to the gods, they said she had committed an abomination. Once upon a time, in the faraway eastern part of the country, the culture and tradition of the people guided their daily lives. In that community resided a wonderful couple named Njideka and Njoku. After marrying, they moved to a beautiful city to do business. Njideka was not working at the moment, but Njoku took care of the family by providing the money needed for their home, while Njideka ensured the home was well maintained. Their union was one people envied, as they were a very good team and worked hand in hand. Njoku had a close friend with whom he often went out to drink. They would sit and talk for hours about their homes and all. Everything in Njoku's family was going okay until one day, Njoku started acting strangely towards Njideka and began comparing her with other women who contributed financially to their homes beyond just cleaning and staying at home. Njideka waved off the matter because he was very drunk the day he said it, and she felt he did not mean it. So she went about her way. But as days passed, it became clear that he meant those words, and it was really getting to Njideka. She is a woman who keeps to herself, as she had no friends to talk to and wondered what she would do. She tried countless times to explain to her husband that if she started work now, it would be very difficult to take care of the family, and suggested waiting until the kids grew up a bit more before she found work. But he insisted she find something to do. Not wanting to disrespect her husband or go against his wishes, she started searching for a job. But most employers were not interested in hiring a stay-at-home mom. She got a wonderful idea from a woman selling at the roadside to start a business for herself. She loved the idea and told her husband about it, but his response was dismissive. "Oh, I should give you money, so tomorrow you will say business isn't going well, and by then you have wasted my money," he said, expressing his disinterest in funding her venture. He gave her a month to find a job, else she would have to take care of things herself, and he didn't care how she went about it. The tone of his words made her realize he was serious, and she decided to search harder for a job. Unfortunately, a good one wasn't forthcoming because most of them needed someone with substantial work experience. One job offer came with a dear price, and she did not want to go through with it, but the pay was too good to ignore. She went back and waited for her husband to return, but he did not come back that day, which was unlike him. The next day, before she could step out to look for her husband, she saw him coming home very intoxicated. When she asked him what the matter was, he pushed her aside and went in. The next day, he came home with another woman, and when she inquired who the young lady was, he replied that she had no right to question him in his house, as long as he paid all the bills. Devastated, she quickly retreated to her room and cried all night, wondering why she was being humiliated in this way. The next morning, she set off with her mind made up to get the lucrative job. When she returned, she wasn't excited about herself, and worse still, her husband refused to talk to her for some days, so she decided she wouldn't bother either. One day, He came home and asked her if she had secured a job, and she replied saying yes, that she was successful. As he was about to rejoice and congratulate her, she went inside the room. He said, "Well, I am very happy. At least now we can split the bills." She paid no attention to him and continued to show much coldness and bitterness towards her husband. It seemed as if she no longer loved him and was not interested in anything that had to do with him. Njoku had to make inquiries about his wife's place of work, as she wasn't telling him anything. It turns out she earned more than him. He was a bit worried, as he already noticed a change in her attitude towards him and wondered what he could do to change her mind. He started trying to be sweet towards her, but she wasn't having any of it. This was already tearing their family apart, and the family everyone once admired became a shadow of itself. One day, Njoku came back home with a sad face and told his wife he had been laid off from work. She gave out a hysterical laugh and went inside the room. The very next day, she went to her husband for food for the family, and she replied saying if he did not bring any money, then he would not see any food to eat. He was surprised at her attitude because this was the last thing he was expecting from her. He had to tell his friend about this, and his friend suggested he beat her up and put her in her place. He agreed with his friend and left for his home that day. When he got home, he asked his wife for food, and she responded saying there was no food in the house, and he pounced on her. After beating her up, she looked at him with anger burning in her eyes. He saw a look he had never seen before, and before she could say anything, he left her all alone in the room. The next day, when Njoku came home, he met his house empty, as Njideka had left with her kids. All efforts to trace her were abortive. He could not handle this on his own, and so had to let his uncles know about this and sent for Njideka. When Njideka went to her husband's home, as soon as she stepped into her husband's compound, she went mad, and everyone was confused and wondered what must have caused this. Njoku and the elders decided to rush Njideka to the deity, and when she was presented to the gods, they said she had committed an abomination and could only be healed if Njoku forgave her wholeheartedly. Njoku wondered what his wife must have done, and so asked the mouthpiece of the oracle what his wife did, and he replied saying she committed adultery. They were all stunned, and he remembered that from that community, no woman sleeps with another man and enters her husband's compound without going mad. It was said that years ago, a man whose wife cheated on him with another man took the matter to the oracle and used his life to perform the ritual that no woman would ever cheat on her husband and go free because of the hurt he felt. And since then, no woman dared cheat on her husband, else would face the wrath of the oracle. They took Njideka back home, and the elders advised him to think about the next step he would take. Njoku was left with the thought of leaving his wife to go mad for the rest of her life, but he wanted to know what made her do what she did, and then he realized that he had been a bit mean to his wife and had not been sensitive to her needs. So he went to her and looked at his wife and said, "I forgive you." Instantly, she regained her senses and asked what happened to her. He then asked her why she cheated on him and narrated what the oracle said. She began to narrate that when he asked her to get a job, no one wanted to offer her a job, that the only person who did said that she must sleep with him to get this job that everyone so desired. She never wanted to do it And so, when she came home that day to tell him what she experienced, he came back with another woman, and it broke her heart to pieces. She decided to sort it out herself, but with his constant pressure and his deadline, she had to do it and regretted it so much. She wondered if it was worth it. She wanted to teach him a lesson so he would know what it feels like to not have money and have someone play God over your life. That is why she did what she did. She said she hated him because all he cared about was her making money and bringing it home without noticing that their children were going astray. He apologized and said he compared her to his friends' wives who made money. How I wish I had listened to you. All this would not have happened. And they both hugged each other. After much deliberation, they decided to do what was best for their family. Njideka quit the job and used her last salary to open a mini mart where she sold what was needed most in her area and made a lot of profit while still being close to the home and taking care of the kids. Njoku got a good job and stopped hanging out with his friend so he wouldn't be forced to take any of his advice, as he feels everyone should run their home the best way they feel it would work for them. And the couple learned not to compare and appreciate the effort of their spouses and lived in peace. The end. Some of the lessons to be learned from this story are: never take your spouse for granted and do not compare with others. Always try to ensure there is peace and joy in a home because it's more important than money. Don't let your love for money make you do things you will end up regretting. Thank you so much for watching till the end. Please click on the subscribe button to support us. Turn on the post notification to get notified when I upload a new story. Like, share, and comment your thoughts. Till then, bye.